Hello, I'm Bernard Norcott-Mahany. I work at the Bluford branch at the Kansas City Public Library, and I'd like to invite you to the January meeting of the Black Classics Book Club. The book club meets here 7 times during the year, every other month starting in January, but then we also meet an extra month in April because it's National Poetry Month. I thought we would revisit a work that we've looked at before in the club because I think it's quite relevant today, and that is James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time. Now, this book came out in 1963. It was basically a collection of 2 long essays. The book as a whole is fairly short, but the essays as essays are fairly long. The first one, My Dungeon Shook, a letter to my nephew on the 100th anniversary of the Emancipation. So 1863, January, was when the Emancipation Proclamation was issued by Abraham Lincoln. And in 1963, or in 1962, looking to 1963, Baldwin basically wanted to look at, okay, we're 100 years after that. How has, the situation improved or not improved for the African American community? His nephew was named James after him, so it was his namesake as well as his nephew. The second essay is called Down at the Cross, a letter from a region of my mind. Baldwin, as a young person, when he was in his teens, actually was a teen minister in the church. And when you read his essays, you can sort of hear that intonation of the preacher in the work. Baldwin is a great wordsmith. He's able to really sort of craft words to carry a message. And here, of course, this deals to some extent with his disenchantment with the church. He, though he wasn't out at the time, was a gay black man, and the churches were not welcoming of gays in the 1960s. The black churches especially would not have been. So as he becomes more socially aware and more active, he realizes that the churches sometimes are not doing all they can. And this sort of deals with his disenchantment. He has a meeting even with Elijah Muhammad of the Nation of Islam, which is sort of somewhat humorous because, of course, Baldwin has a lot of white friends. He's also a gay man. Both of these things would be abominations to Elijah Muhammad. So he has to keep that sort of quiet when he meets with him in Chicago. The title of the collection of the 2 essays, The Fire Next Time, comes from a Negro spiritual. God gave Noah the rainbow sign, no more water, the fire next time. So in other words, the flood was a warning, but the flood, was pretty strong, wiped out much life in the story, and he vowed never to do that again. But the next time could be worse, right? Could be fire. So Baldwin's observations as a black man living in America, he will move to France, where I think he feels his human rights are more observed than they are in the America of the 1960s. The work actually got a musical tribute in 2016 called Can I Get a Witness? The Gospel of James Baldwin. Ta-Nehisi Coates has a letter to his son in Between the World and Me, which clearly harkens back to Baldwin's essay to his nephew. And Jessamine Ward edited a collection in the 2010s called The Fire This Time, that deals with young African Americans and their sort of views on the subjects that Baldwin raises in this collection of essays. So, at any rate, it's an important work. It's a well-written work. I mean, it's actually sort of a joy to read as far as Baldwin's language goes. The message is disturbing, and I think the message is still, sadly, very appropriate, which is disheartening. But the reading of it, Baldwin's clear joy and care in crafting the language, it makes it a sort of enjoyable task. Not all nonfiction works have that sort of beautiful touch to them that this collection of essays has. So I hope you can come by. The meeting will be in January 24th. That's the fourth Saturday at 2:30. It'll run for about an hour. And there are collections of the book in our system, in Johnson County system, in KCK system, in the Mid-Continent system, as well as e-copies of it on Libby and Overdrive. And even Hoopla, I think, has it. So you can find copies of it. We may have some copies here, but sadly, the Kansas City Public Library doesn't have as many copies as would be nice. And at this point, all the copies that are in the system are checked out. But if you can get hold of a copy, or if you can read up something about the work or get a copy at a bookstore, we'd love to see you for a discussion of James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time. That will be January 24th at the Bluford Library at 2:30 p.m.